what is PadSplit? We are the marketplace for privatized affordable housing. What does that mean? Stick around and find out. I'll start by introducing myself. I'm Blake. I'm the sales manager at PadSplit. I joined the company 3.5 years ago when we were a team of about 25. We now have over 120 people working. So while I was wearing a lot of hats before, the good news is as you go through your PadSplit journey, there's always someone to help you. So I work with investors to get them started. Then we have an onboarding team, and then we have a host success and account management team for everything you need after your property is live. For me, my whole career has been spent just working with investors and business owners, really just like to know kind of what motivates people. What motivates me and the reason I'm at PadSplit is twofold. One, I love real estate. It's what my dad does and what my granddad did, but also our social mission is really important to me. And our mission is to help provide financial independence to low and middle income workers using housing as a vehicle of stability. Outside of work, it is officially March, so I can say Rock Chalk Jayhawk. I'm a proud graduate of the University of Kansas. And my husband and I are lucky enough to have a ton of nieces and nephews. And while we shouldn't have a favorite, we do. So I included a picture of our favorite niece, Anna. Our motto here at PadSplit is to do good and do well. And what I mean by that is do good, create safe, affordable housing for working class people, and do well, make more money than you would through traditional rentals. We started about 5 years ago. We've served over 12,000 members. That's what we call our residents. We're in 9 cities across the country. We have over 6,000 active bedrooms. And like I mentioned, over 100 people working every day. And the mission of every employee here is to help solve the affordable housing shortage, one room at a time. I want to introduce you to Kiosha. Kiosha is a PadSplit member. She was attending graduate school in Atlanta, couldn't afford a place for herself and her kids. So her kids were living 2 hours away, 3 hours away with her mom. As she moved into a PadSplit, was able to pay down debt and save money. And then after about 9 months in a PadSplit, she was able to purchase her own home and bring her kids back up to Atlanta and have her family living under one roof, just like everyone would like to do. And her story is not unique. There are so many people across the country that can't afford a basic studio apartment, so they're left with some pretty undesirable options. So in Atlanta, for example, studio apartments go for like $1,200 or $1,400. You have to make 3 times that, plus have a 650 credit score. And there's just a lot of people that don't have that. So across America, we're talking about 15 million people. In Metro Atlanta, for example, we're talking about 150,000 people that's making under 40K a year and are single. Another thing that is difficult for a lot of people is the upfront cost and the long-term lease agreement. At a PadSplit, the barrier to entry is much lower. You're essentially committing to 31 days upfront and then renewing weekly after that. That said, the average stay is 9.5 months. So the cost of PadSplit being more affordable and the flexibility are the main reasons our residents are choosing PadSplit. We also don't require a minimum credit score versus an apartment where it's around 650. That said, we are a mission-oriented company. So one of the things we do is we report all of the on-time weekly payments to help members improve their credit score. And typically we're seeing about an 80-point credit score improvement after a few months in a PadSplit. So yeah, that's sort of who we're serving. A little bit more about our members. The average age is 35. Most people are making around $30,000. 90% of the people that stay in a PadSplit are earning less than $55,000. Everyone pretty much has a full-time job. Most people do not work from home. And the most important thing I like to see here is that 91% of people staying in a PadSplit would recommend it to a friend or family member. So how does this work? On the resident side, we offer something that is affordable and flexible. We make it easier to qualify, and then we provide lots of choices. On the investor side, PadSplit leads to more income. We manage the collections for you. We also manage all of the marketing and the background checks to get people approved to live in your home, making sure that everyone in your home either has a full-time job or pays 12 weeks up front and has passed our screening. So what does exactly it look like? How is it that you can make housing more affordable for people in the community while also making more revenue for the investor? And the secret is to take underutilized space and turn it into income generating space. So on the left, you see a house that's in Decatur, Georgia, that was a 4-bedroom home being rented to a couple that was paying $2,000 a month. When that couple moved out, the investor turned this home into a 7-bedroom PadSplit where each person is paying about $700 a month, $700 to $750 a month. So he's bringing in over $5,000 in income. So what you'll see is the dining room and living room both get converted to common areas. And then a really large bedroom, in this case, got turned into 2 rooms. The reasons we encourage the conversion of common areas are twofold. So for the investor side, for every room that you're able to create, you're going to be adding anywhere from $600 to $800 in revenue, depending on the market and the size of the room. So for you as the investor, you make more money when you convert the common areas. But converting common areas also is a better experience for the people staying in your house because in a pad split, when people don't necessarily all know each other and everyone has like a different work schedule, if you have a common area, what inevitably happens is people are noisy while others need to sleep, or that space gets used for storage or trash, or someone has the idea to let a friend who hasn't passed our background check and isn't paying potentially use that space and crash there. So when you convert the common areas, it really is a win-win for everyone. Some people might be thinking a little bit like, oh, how does this compare to Airbnb? And one of the things I like to mention is that Airbnb is fractional in terms of time, and that some of the time you have people in your rental and you're making some really nice returns, and then some of the time you have no one in the property and you're earning nothing. In a pad split, it's fractional because we're breaking up the space, but you're always going to have income coming in, and you're always going to have someone in your home. If this sounds good and you're thinking, how do I go about doing this? Essentially, the process kind of goes like this. Getting started is having a couple calls with me or someone in a role similar to mine, where we walk you through all the ins and outs of pad splits, the numbers, the types of homes that make sense, any vendors you'll need, everything like that. From there, typically people are going out to acquire property. So that means working with a realtor who has a good idea of what makes a good pad split, and then purchasing the home. Almost always, whether you already have an asset or you're going out and purchasing one, renovations are required. So, like we just saw, that usually means putting up additional walls. That might mean turning a half bathroom into a whole bathroom, those types of things. So, you go through the renovation process. And just like realtors, pad split, and then markets we're active in, we have experienced vendors for every step of the puzzle. So, realtors, contractors, property managers, lenders, photographers, insurance providers, we have solutions for you. So we would also introduce you to a contractor. Then, when the contractor is finishing up the work, you'll prepare the home, meaning you'll make sure the Wi Fi is set up, you'll get the home staged and photographed, and you'll create the listing on our site. Once you create the listing on our site, then you meet with our onboarding team who is going to meet with you to give you all the trainings you need to be a great host, whether that means a host that's going to self manage and do the stuff at the property yourselves, or even just a more passive host, like a lot of investors are, to understand things like the financials and the occupancy and what is available in our platform. And then once the property is validated as meeting our standards, it can go live and you'll start earning income. Typically, in most of our markets, we're seeing a first booking within about 6 days and an 80% full house in about 30 days or less, depending on the market. And then at the 90-day point, your property is very stabilized because the people have moved in, they like each other, they like the convenience to work, they like the savings, and they stay. And then kind of from there, you have pretty long tenure. So like I was mentioning before, the average stay is about 9.5 months. So that's a pretty good amount of time. Here's a case study. I'm happy to share this deck out, after the call, but at a high level, a host purchased a property, created more bedrooms, brought in about 250K. So his investment was 250K. And then after all of his expenses, he brought in over 35K per year. So pretty good return on investment pretty quickly. I will highlight a few things. The host does pay the utilities because the members are choosing a room with an all-inclusive weekly price. PadSplit charges a 12% platform fee. That's the only fee a host ever pays to PadSplit. It's only paid to us once your property is generating revenue. And then these other expenses too. And if you want to get more into this, we'll set up a call separately and we'll get really into the weeds.